Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Luana Hodges, YBC Youth Building Conversation. How everybody doing? I hope everybody enjoyed their Juneteenth, whether you had the day off or you didn't have the day off. I hope you enjoyed all the festivals that was going on in the DMV area. But this evening, I am sitting down with a lovely lady. Make sure that I don't mispronounce your name. Takeya Azzano.
Yes, Takeya Azzano.
Hey, I got it right. Normally, I mess up some names. But we're gonna call you TK. TK Reeve.
Reve.
TK Reeve. Okay.
Yes,
So I'm
Reve.
just gonna say, you mind if I say TK?
Yes, or you can
Oh,
just call me Takeya. It's
okay,
fine.
Takeya. Takeya is
Yeah,
fine.
just call me
Pretty
Takeya.
name, pretty name, pretty name. How are
Thank
you
you.
doing?
I am fine. As you know, I'm pregnant right now with twins, so I'm a little sleepy. So if y'all see me nibbling on some cookies, don't say nothing. It's
It's
okay.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. She said twins, y'all. Twins. So we're gonna make sure you get through. I'm gonna make sure we get through this interview quick in a hurry. So you can go rest those eyes and put those feet up so you can take care of those babies.
Yeah, but see, the 2.5-year-old that's sleeping right now, and the 15-year-old dog that likes to
Oh.
yap in my house, and the loud husband.
Okay, you have okay, so yeah. Well, you might not get no sleep.
At least the
Well,
twins put me to
you
sleep.
might not get a little you might not get no sleep. So but we're gonna keep on moving. So I'm gonna open us up in a word of prayer
Okay.
and then we're gonna go forward with the interview. God,
All
I
right.
just want to say I thank you. I thank you for this day. I thank you for waking me up this morning. I thank you for allowing Takia to come on my platform and share her amazing story. God, so whatever happens on this platform, let it be good, let it be of you, and just let us be mindful of the timing. But we want to make sure we get a great story out. So in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. 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 So I always ask the person I'm interviewing, who is Takeya Azzano?
Takeya Azzano is a very, I guess I'm an explorer and a learner. I very much am feral, but I guess that comes from being born in the 80s, and our parents were, well, not my parents, but my grandparents were always working. So, you kind of grew up in the neighborhood, but I also grew up in a kind of chill neighborhood with family, so that was fun. But as I got older, I was more alone, so I was kind of forced into exploring instead of just sitting at home. So that got me to go to just different places and meet new people and experience different things that I wouldn't have done had I just stayed home and waited around on everybody to like call me back. A learner, I absolutely love learning. School was the place. It was my third grade teacher that actually, I believe, like put my life in a good trajectory because of her belief and her faith in me. That really kind of like spearheaded my life towards education and being a teacher and all the things I've achieved in education. Is that and a creative. I'm in almost every single art you can think of. I love to sing. I love to dance. You know, paint, draw, write. So I love writing. I love writing poetry. I love freestyling. Of course, photography, hair. Like I love styling my daughter's hair because she has the cutest long curly hair. And just a Care Bear. I'm very much a very loving, compassionate, caring person. And I very much like to give people chances and accept who they are. And then try to cheerlead them on because I don't always need the spotlight. And I'm very much family and community oriented in who I am. So I'm very community service.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more about like I feel happiness when other people are excelling around me in their own lives. There's not a jealousy there. I'm happy that you have these things because you're somebody that I care about. So I want good things for you as well as me. And if I can help you achieve that in any way possible, if that's me just being here listening to you cry and scream and rage and yell over having a hard day, if that's me sharing your stuff online with my audience, or buying your product, or hiring you out for an occasion to support your business, then that's what I want to do. So I think that's who Takeya Azzano is.
Okay. So I think you already gave us good 3 adjectives that describe yourself. You describe yourself perfectly. So how has the past couple of years affected you professionally, personally, and spiritually?
Oh my God, the past couple years, man. I could even just go back like the past 5 years have been exceptionally traumatic for me. I encountered loss after loss after loss, whether it be to death. I actually lost 2 pregnancies in 2019. So, I dealt with that. I dealt with the loss of my grandmother, one of my grandmothers who raised me growing up. We had a mixed legacy between the two of us. Like she was my mom when I didn't have a mom and dad, but at the same time, she was also an enabler of the abuse,
Yeah.
and she had her own mental health things going on that I realized were generational that I wish I could have brought her out of. But she just wanted to stay that way. So it was hard. So I lost her in 2020, got pregnant with our first child in 2020, got pregnant with our third child 2021. We gave birth to her. It was through IVF because I have endometriosis, which I've suffered from since I was 12. And a lot of women have it, and it's very prolific in African American women. And a lot of us experience that pelvic pain, especially when we first start having our periods, especially when we're 12 and 13. And most of us, by the time we get to high school, we can't even sit in class on the first day of our period because we are literally in so much pain. Or little girls don't have enough information to know how to chart their period. So next thing you know, I have students coming up to me and now they have to go to the nurse because they didn't realize their period was coming on and now they've stained their pants. Or there are not enough feminine hygiene products around to give these little girls, where I had to make a care closet. And it got to the point I just started giving them my pads out of my book bag that were mine. So I started just buying pads and keeping them at the school for my students to have. Okay. Because there needed to be that.
Yeah.
So it's just been, I also cut off a lot of people in the past couple of years. COVID taught me a lot, and the endometriosis has taught me a lot. The endometriosis, like I said, if you don't know, it's pelvic pain when the endometrial lining that creates your period grows on the outside of your female organs, and it's scar tissue. So it's painful and it hurts and reacts to certain hormones in your body, especially once a month or if you're pregnant. And the problem with that is that you experience heavy, heavy pelvic pain, but because medicine is so far behind to accept women as actual patients, that there's not enough research into why endometriosis even starts, let alone is there any type of diagnostic test other than putting you under for surgery to tell if you have endometriosis. But that's after several urgent care visits, that's after several ER visits, that's being bounced from your gastroenterologist to maybe your OBGYN. And if you don't have insurance, and all they tell you is Tylenol and heating pads and ibuprofen, and then send you home and you can't function at all.
Yeah.
So I dealt with that all these years, and it just got worse and worse and worse to the point I couldn't walk at times. I've been physically disabled. So that ended up happening to me in 2023. I ended up being disabled and could not go to work physically anymore. But at that point, I was also burnt out. I started teaching in 2007, and I had been with my county since 2015. It was 2023. I was just burnt out. I went through COVID. I taught through that. I taught with lack of resources and help and just ridiculous. And then all the pressure we had to deal with as teachers during the pandemic, as far as open up the schools and how society really felt towards us. It's definitely hard. And then just seeing how things are going in education, and it just became so difficult. Plus, I was just so overworked. I had 199 students that I would see within 2 days. That was my roster. That was my last year. When I started in the county, my roster started at 130 and then just continuously climbed every single year. So that was just difficult. But I can say within those 5 years, a lot of good things did happen, though. Because of the loss of my first daughter, and my husband graduating grad school at the time, it actually pushed me into going to grad school at the time. Also because my job was like, hey, if you don't get your master's, you ain't getting no job. And I was like, man, like I constantly have to jump through hoops to be a teacher, and it's ridiculous what they do to you, in order to be a teacher, and then to like not have your word heard, it's so difficult to be voiceless when you are the one that is the boots on the ground with the children every day. And you're the one who is seeing these kids coming out of your classroom in different ways. And it's just like, you can't support all of them. You can't take all of them home.
Yeah.
Even though you want to, and some of them, you just want to hit them up real quick. It's just like.
That's why I'm not a teacher. Love the kids, but I ain't teaching them. I'm not.
I think it takes a certain little craziness to be a good teacher. But also because I'm from PG County, it helped out that I taught back in PG County, which had actually been my dream since I was a kid, to teach back in PG County, because that's really where I started my education. Was in 3rd grade. I entered PG County schools, and then I graduated from PG County schools. But like I said, I went and got my master's, and pushing me through was the thought of my daughter being proud of me in heaven. And that really pushed me through, because that whole time, so that pushed me through, and I got through grad school. And I graduated with a 3.98.
Mm-hmm.
Almost had that 4.0. That one lady gave me that B. I tell you what, one lady gave me that B, and I'm still fighting air over that, because she messed up my perfect 4.0. And I worked hard for that. Yeah. I might not be writing 13-page papers, but when you tell me I got a 5-page limit and I'm already stuck to the point,
right,
we can be done with this.
Right.
But sorry, I'm just talking randomly.
That's okay. That's all
right. But like I said, also in those 5 years, I've also been published. So while I was in grad school, one of the lessons that I had created, we had to submit to an online blog. So I was looking at the different blogs, and then I submitted to Edutopia, which is George Lucas from Star Wars. That's his education website platform. So I end up submitting my article to Edutopia, and then I end up getting my article accepted and published on Edutopia. Nice. So one of my lessons that I created is actually on the website, which is pretty cool. Even though it's just an assignment, I did not realize that would actually happen. And I actually got paid for it. I definitely wasn't expecting that, and then they get a check from like George Lucas Foundation, educational foundation. It's like, this is Star Wars. Like, that was really a lot of fun. Let's see. I also got my first picture published in a photography magazine, and that was fun. So that was very exciting. And then as time went on, people were telling me about stuff, and I ended up being a vendor at the Anacostia Art Center over on MLK in Southeast. Mm-hmm. So I had a chance to apply for a vendor spot, and I'm a very shy person. I'm very scared to be open and talk, but I know that's because of my trauma and how I was traumatized growing up. That I'm very shy to open up and say anything about myself or to really bring attention to myself. I'm very shy to do that. So to put in the application to be a vendor, I was like, oh, this is taking a big step for me because I'm so scared of rejection because I've been either rejected or I've been abandoned over and over and over again by family circles and friend circles. So, it's like, it's hard putting yourself out there for another opportunity because you're so used to being left alone that you're scared to try anything new. But literally, like I said, I got a little crazy in me because I just keep trying. I just keep trying for different things, even though I'm so afraid. I'm so fearful of rejection and abandonment. I should just be like, well, let go, let God, and just like, right. And then it's just like, do it, Do it. I don't know what it is about me. My grandfather said I used to jump in the deep end of the pool before I learned how to swim when I was a little kid. And I love to be in the water and I love to swim. But I ain't going back in the deep end. But I think that just says to who I've been since I've been little.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I vended there. But the only problem was is that COVID hit right at the same time.
Yep.
So COVID, we had the vendors market, which is Black to the Future was the theme. Vendors market, and it was in February of 2020. And then COVID hit in March 2020 and schools closed and everything shut down. So of course I wasn't getting any business. But I just took that time to do free photo shoots in the area. I work with different models, so I got to meet them. There are different photography meetups in the areas for different reasons. And I like that they're varied right now. So before there was just like Portrait Meet DC and Street Meet DC, and it's all these photographers and videographers. And then we have all this local model talent. So you get to photograph them going around, and it's so fun because the talent is so good here in this area. And they're just like some amazing models, and there's some amazing photographers and videographers. And this is a way for people in that field to kind of get that exposure, but now they're kind of opening up and veering up. So like we have Black women photographers started by Polly Iranga. She's gonna kill me.
It's okay.
But Black women photographers, which I'm a part of. Nice. And Polly is here actually in DC. She's actually the photographer for Kamala Harris. Wow. So she actually started Black women photographers, I believe, in COVID because, Black women were losing jobs hand over fist, especially us out of everybody was definitely losing jobs when COVID hit. So she was making like this database of female identifying photographers, Black female identifying photographers. And she was creating this database and kind of sharing it and like helping us like get jobs and stuff. So it's been a very creative and cool, like place to be at, to have all these beautiful, like Black female women who are in business. And, we could talk to each other and ask each other for advice, and we're supporting each other and we're watching each other sit here And, you might hear about somebody in the group, or they might have them at a summit. And then next thing you know, you're following them. And then they're shooting the Met Gala. And it's like, wow, this is somebody I shot. Or like they're shooting like Method Man, or, when Black women photographers got the ability to submit to shoot for Janelle Monáe last year when she was on tour.
Nice.
She actually opened up the opportunity to Black women photographers to submit to be press photographers for her stop in DC. And I thought that was such an amazing opportunity. Then we have like D&D, like we have like Black fairies and stuff like that. So I like how we're, bringing in the fairies, and then like seeing more and more cosplay come up, and just seeing this creativity come up in the area. So I definitely got exposed to those groups and those people, and following these people and watching them grow up and like in their photography. And it's so nice to see these people, and just go around and be in these groups.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you did a lot.
I did a lot more though.
We gonna get to it. We gonna get to it. Now, one thing you touched on that I want to go into, because I know reading your bio, you also said that you're an advocate for mental health and emotional well-being. Can you just share a little bit of your story on how you actually became to advocate for mental health services?
I became an advocate. I'm very ashamed of this, even though I should not be, because it's not my fault. I was a child. And through all of, I'm an advocate for mental health and mental well-being because I am a victim of 39 years of abuse and neglect from my family. It started around the age of 6, where I dealt with child abuse as far as being physically, emotionally, and mentally abused. I was also sexually molested at that time. I was taken from that situation and moved to another situation where it was a tad bit better. I didn't really have to deal with the abuses, but also my father is very abusive. He has mental health issues, and he's gone through some things. And I believe there are a lot of generational curses that sit upon both of my parents. And I'm very sorry that it played out in them not really being part of my life and how they treated me, which has not been fair. I've seen very much the degradation of what humanity can do to somebody. It's really hard to like encapsulate all that I've been through. I've been through some of the most horrific things that you can imagine. And to think that it was at the hands of my family is what is the most painful part, and people who are supposed to be my close friends. Also, so I dealt with that. Both of my parents very much are angry. And I just guess my parents really didn't want me. So, I kind of grew up being treated as a burden, and also watching like other people being treated better than me, and me kind of being left off to like figure out life by myself. There are days I had to make my own lunch, and I'm in like 2nd grade. So it's just hard, and then growing up as I got older, my parents kind of being in my life, but not really raising me, like, and dealing with wanting their attention and love, because of course, as human beings, that's how we are, especially with our mothers. But we always know that when either one or both parents are missing, then that leaves that child in such a vulnerable position in life, mentally, emotionally. Not only that, but physically and sexually, that leaves that child in a vulnerable place when they're missing either one or both of the parents. But it's definitely a harder experience when you see your parents around and you're not really their focus. Um, so that was difficult. And then just kind of, like I said, deal with my parents not really being around, my grandparents kind of raising me. And, sometimes I say the apple is leaning right up against a tree. The saying is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, saying that you're very much like your parents that you come from. But then there's also a saying that the apple is leaning right up against a tree, so you're just like them. So it's hard when you grow up with generational curses and you live in the house that created your parents.
Yeah.
But because that's a generation that also is not really involved in raising children as well, then you kind of are left to yourself to like move around and explore life. There's also that generation of like born in the 30s and 50s. Most of us were raised by our grandparents anyway. A lot of us kids from the 80s and 90s were raised by our grandparents. So a lot of us deal with that while our parents are well and alive. And it's a hard pill to swallow. That's why I think adopted kids, when they find out they're adopted, they always go looking for their parents because they want to find out where they come from, who they are, and what makes them tick and stuff like that. So it's always that longing and not having it. But then also just having people play with my mental health. And I've suffered from depression and suicide attempts since the age of 6. At 6, life was so hard that I just felt that being dead would be better than being alive. So I tried to commit suicide from the age of 6 to the age of 30. So I'm not sure how many times I've tried to attempt suicide. I've tried several different ways. And tried several different ways to try to kill myself because I felt like I was nothing and I wasn't important and I felt stupid and I wasn't perfect enough to make my parents love me, to, have friends, to not feel weird, because how do you explain to people that you've been sexually molested? How do you explain that to people when you're a little kid? You don't have the vocabulary. Also, growing up in the 90s, we didn't have the vocabulary back then. Yeah. Back in the 90s, it was more, it's your fault as the victim, not as the person is the perpetrator and the pedophile and the abuser. No, you are the victim. It is your fault. Baby, what do I have? I've seen 6-year-olds. That's stiff as a board, light as a feather. That's all that is. So I'm trying to figure out how stiff as a board, light as a feather is attracting a grown man. Right. Help me understand what I did at 6 years old, and you're supposed to be helping raise me in a parental figure while my father's off in the wind somewhere. I see you as my father figure, and yet you did this to me. And then just, like I said, the older generations, they okay abuse. There's so much more smoke for abuse victims than there are for the perpetrators. Yeah. The perpetrators have an invite to every single event. They do. And then you show up and you are activated by the trauma that they've done to you because it is criminally and hilariously wrong. And you're told to be calm and get over it. And then you're told to be the bigger person. Why aren't you the bigger person? Oh, you should respect them because of their title. Oh, you just making it up. Yeah. Yeah. I understand some people do that. Some people are that way mentally. I do get that. But there's a reason why sexual assault and rape is the most underreported crime that there is.
Yeah. So how do you advocate? Do you go to different women's shelters talking about it, or like being a teacher? Do did you take the young ladies that you taught as way of, if you see something, you know?
I did it as a teacher, and I did it in several ways. For one, there is this warm up that my middle school social studies teacher, Mr. Phillips, used to do with us called Wise Words every day. And as I was going through my teaching profession, I would do warm ups. And then I thought to bring back Wise Words, which is a quote about life. And because I've really been through so much by that point when I started teaching again, you know, like I lost my job teaching in 2011. And then I didn't get back into teaching until 2014. And that's when I got sober. And also, like I said, I'd already been abused, I already dealt with that when I was 6 and 7. I dealt with my father's increasing violence towards me, including slamming a door across my chest and throwing me in the trash cans and beating me up. I dealt with that. And then I had some other family members who were trying me, who were being abusive. But what happened was when I went away to college in 2002, I was 18 years old. Like I said, I had already been trying to commit suicide for 12 years by that point. I have scars on my body to prove it. But when I was in college and I went away to college, I actually went to the health center and I said, I'm sad. I don't know why I'm sad, but I'm sad and I need help. And they put me on Lexapro for the first time, but I didn't have therapy to go with it. So I did not know that I needed the therapy piece. Because the thing is that, like I said, I'm a writer, so I write diaries. And I would write in my diary about how sad I was. I would write poetry about being suicidal and stuff. To the point that my grandmother told me one time when I got older, she's like, yeah, I'm saving your poetry for when you're dead. I'll make a lot of money off of it. And I was like, I don't even know what to say to that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
So
No, you see my diary, that mean get me some darn help. Like if you see my diary, that mean I need help. Not until you wait until I die that you're gonna make money off it. No, I need help. Yeah. But the sad part about of it is I'm sorry you've been through or you went through what you went through. But looking at you today, I would have never known that you have gone through that. So thank God we don't look like what we've been through. And from reading your bio up into your last paragraph, and I read that, I wouldn't have never guessed that. I wouldn't have never. I didn't see that until I got to the bottom of your bio, and all I can say is someone was with you all the way, and you are meant to be here, and you have a purpose. So I'm just hoping that you're living out your purpose to the fullest and that you know what your purpose is because you have one. And I don't know if it's to go into and teach what you've been through. I don't know because only you know that. But you have a voice. You got a voice that can change this world because there's a lot of youth and young adults is my ministry. Mm-hmm. And I used to mentor at the detention center in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across a lot of young women that was runaways. And I remember this young lady, and I still see her face. And she said to me, she was like, you adults don't understand. She was like, I don't run away because I want to run away.
Right.
I run away because I'm not safe in that house.
I used to run away too.
How can you translate me running away to me being a bad kid when I'm screaming for help? And then I get locked up in a place like this, like jail, and I didn't do anything but trying to save my life. When I tell you that broke me, because I didn't have an answer for her. That broke me. Because there's a lot of kids that's dealing with that as we on this live now.
Right.
That's dealing with that. And a lot of the schools, them going to school is their safe haven.
It was mine. My 3rd grade teacher, my 5th grade teacher, my orchestra teacher, like they gave me family, but like my 3rd grade teacher changed my life for real. If it was that for her, and just believing in me and being kind and being nice to me and like seeing my potential, I don't think that I would have almost failed out of college and then still graduated on time. And then to turn around and go back to school and I'm making A's, barely a B, and then go get my master's and I have a 3.9 GPA while battling depression, anxiety, teaching in COVID, doing IVF treatments, and giving birth to my daughter and finishing up my last 2 assignments while my daughter is a week old and graduating while she's a week old. You know?
Well, let me tell you, I don't know your spiritual background. I don't know what you believe or don't believe. But let me tell you something. God got you. He had you. And you destined for greatness. And you're getting there. Whatever the enemy tried to steal, he giving it back in tenfolds. But I'm going to tell you, your voice is your healing. Use your voice to heal. Because your voice is powerful. What you've been through is powerful. Whether it got to be in a book, whether your story got to be in a book, whether you toured this country speaking about what you've been through, but look at you now. Your life is where you're going to heal from. So don't ever be quiet. Don't ever be quiet. Don't ever be quiet. I don't know why I bumped into you or met you. I don't know. But all I can tell you is your voice is your healing power.
Can I tell you why you bumped into me? When you put out, first off, this platform, Youth Building Conversations, this is so much to who I am as community service, but also the fact that I taught high school. And like almost all my 12 years, except for like 2 months, I've taught high school the entire time. High school is the only grade that I wanted to teach. I'm good with kids of all age, like little kids, middle school, no, they bad. No, that's bad. But I wanted to work with high school specifically. The reason why I wanted to work with high school is because as I matriculated through school, I already knew in 3rd grade when I was 8 that I wanted to be a teacher. And that's what I was dead set on. So I've always known this. I've been told, don't do that. I've been told, be a doctor, be a lawyer, or be a doctor's wife, or be a lawyer's wife. That's what I've been told. That's been what my future plans about my family has been. Don't be a teacher. So I literally had to fight against my whole entire family to do exactly what I want to do, which is kind of funny because you're telling me I have a voice, and it's like I've spoken out against the abuse and I've gotten myself help, but it's had to be me going to different spaces and failing in this space and that space. But they're still saying I need help and then moving on to the next space. The When you posted that you were looking for guests, I went to high school because when I went to high school, I saw how lost we were.
Yeah.
I saw how we had nobody really in our lives to be around us, to help us out and take care of us. I grew up with my dad's family. And like I said, my dad's a deadbeat. But my dad lived with us, but he never raised me a day in his life. So it's different when you live with your parent and they were a teenage parent and you live with them in the household. It's weird because you're more your grandparents' kid than you are their kid. You're more their sibling. But like my grandmother was always at work. Her husband was kind of doing his own thing because I'm not his biological child. I'm not his biological grandchild because my grandfather was a deadbeat for me. But I just sat back and just like really, really watched how like all of us were just so lost, and we literally had like no guidance on what to do. Like nobody taught us anything. Like when my grandmother realized I had sex, is because I got sick. Because I didn't have anybody to really go to and be like, so what do I do about this? How do I handle this? How do I take care of my hygiene so I don't get this? This is not happening. I'm not getting this information because when I go home, I'm sitting in my room with a TV and you're off doing something adult and you're not here to lead me in the way. But at the same time, nobody led you in the way either, which explains why I'm coming from 2 generations of teenage parents. It's actually 4, but it's historically the times are different, But to say like my father was a teenage parent, my grandmother was a teenage parent, my great grandmother was a teenage parent.
Wow.
Okay. The only reason my great grandmother was a teenage parent is because she was born in 1899. So life was a hell of a lot different, and my great grandmother was born in the 30s. So that's a tad bit of a difference, but when you get to the 50s, 60s, we still ain't really got condoms, but I don't know what was up with my dad. But like I said, we were just lost. I had no guidance. I had nothing. Like my mom wasn't really telling me anything. My mom was like off in the side, but my mom wasn't really telling me anything or helping me. My friends didn't know what the hell was going on with them. They had their own stuff going on at home. They had their own traumas.
Right.
And some of them, to be honest with you, I've known some of these people for like 20 years, and I'm just finding out stuff about them from high school. Right. That I was just like, why did you not tell me he went through this? I would have been there with you had you told me this happened to you. Right. At that time.
Right.
So it's just, everybody was going through something. And then you pop up in the senior year and everybody's pregnant. And you're like, what the?
Right.
Why is everybody pregnant? Why is everybody pregnant in here? I don't get it. And it's just like, so I just saw we really had nobody at that age. So that's what made me focus specifically on high school age students. And that's what made me specifically go into teaching secondary education. But when you had this up, I'm very much an advocate for the youth and for mental health, because you're asking me how I became an advocate. And the thing is that I've always been like this mom. Very loving, very caring. I've also been a very protective spirit since I was like 6 years old. I've been very protective of other people. So it was just kind of like, I knew we needed somebody because you only have but certain teachers that you really, really vibe with, and then there are certain people that you wish you could open up and talk to and say, this is what's happening with me. I need your help. I don't know what else to do. Yeah. And when you don't have anybody else and you've gone through your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your siblings, your cousins, and everybody just telling you get over it, you're at a loss. So you don't know who you can trust next.
Yeah.
So when I started teaching, I always kind of had that social emotional piece tied in with me because of all the abuse that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've also had my bad moments where I've been the fighter. I've been the aggressor. I've been mean. I've been nasty. I have been an a-hole. I've gone through those periods and I know what I can do, but I also know what I don't want to do.
Right.
And it's just like kids need help with that. So
Yeah.
as I started teaching, I kind of got into wise words. So I would give the kids a quote about life. Like I would look up the quotes and I would read a quote about life, about a certain topic in life, like love, education, friendship, anger, leadership, things like that. So then I would give the kids the quote and then be like, okay, write down the quote. Now explain what the quote means and then give me an example. And I would actually let the kids use like examples from TV and everything just to get them like calm and acclimated first. Because I know how it is in school. You don't want to open up because you don't feel it's a safe space.
Right.
So we would do that. And what would happen is that I would have the kids give their examples and then I would explain what it meant to me. And then I realized more and more, I had more and more examples to give them about life because I had been through this particular thing.
Yeah.
So every morning I would get up. Every day in class, I would get up. We would do this for warm up. We would do. They knew, get your butt in here, sit your behind down, write your quote, answer your stuff. When the buzzer goes off, then we're going to discuss it. And it would be a moment. And then it got to a point where kids started to feel very, very comfortable within the classroom together. And they kind of made a community with each other because they knew they could open up in that space and nobody was going to judge them in that space that they opened up because I led the way for them.
Yeah.
I would give them examples from my life. Would I give them a
Yeah.
straight up example? No, I'm not going to tell you everybody. I'm not going to tell you everything.
Right.
But there are certain things I'm going to say to explain to you, like, yeah, like this can happen to you, but this is also how you can overcome it. Because I sat there and dealt with that exact same thing. That friend that wasn't there, that abusive relationship, that parent that's not there, okay? That support you need, being depressed, being anxious, trying to fit in, trying to be perfect while also dealing with the hell of a household when I got to go home.
Yeah.
And that being not taken in consideration as to who I am when I show up in the school building. And also seeing my life helped me talk to my students better. And it also got me better classroom management.
Yeah.
Because telling them about my life and telling them, hey, yo, I'm going through this, but I'm still here today.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to be here today. We're going to watch a movie. Okay. What do you want to watch? Coco? Let's watch Coco. Life ain't that serious. Let's just watch Coco. And that's kind of why I wanted to stay with high school, to help them out and try to help them figure out things about life. In a way, more than just world history or social studies, help them figure out things in life and how to deal with it. And it was kind of therapeutic for me as well, because I'm getting these things out, but I'm also giving examples of like, yo, you can get through this, and one of the hardest things that I ever admitted to my students, and still to this day was hard to admit, is that I used to be an alcoholic. And the wildest thing was like when I told my kids, because there was some quote about something, and I was like, yeah, you really can change though. Like you can. I used to be an alcoholic and I've been sober, all this time. Yeah. And literally I've done it with God and myself. Yeah. Because where I live in PG County, I'm in South PG County. So, economically, we're not that diverse. We're a little more downtrodden over here. So, of course, there are more liquor stores and tobacco stores than there are grocery stores or community rec centers in this area for you. So, of course, there's going to be more crime because there's less to do around here.
Right.
And there's less for them. But there is Creative Suitland, which I hope more of them go to. So it's just like, it was difficult. But I started doing that and then just helping out students. Students would come. So like I said, with the warm up, students would actually write their examples, but I wouldn't make everybody share. So it was just kind of like open forum. So if you want to share, you can. But the thing is that the kids would actually have a forum to express what they're going through. So before we got to COVID, everything was on paper. So the kids would actually write to me things that are going on in their lives on paper. And then I would like write a response back to them. So I give them back like advice, or I'd like cheerlead them, you know. And then when we got to digital, then I would still do the wise words, and I would still write them back advice and notes and try to help them out. Um, so that's kind of how that worked out. I was also a class sponsor for the class of 2021 to when they were freshmen. I stayed with them all the way till their senior year. I was gone the last bit because I was pregnant. It was COVID, so we didn't want to risk the pregnancy or me. So I stayed home for the last 3 months. But you know, I started out with them in 2017 and fundraised with them. You know, put on a few little community events for the school for the kids. Um, and did that with them and got them to senior year and graduation. And then I was also the sponsor for 3 years for Caring Colors, which is the Gay Straight Alliance at Duval. So what happened was that their sponsor was leaving, and I already knew some of the kids because I taught them. So I would just go next door after I would go next door and just hang out with them. And I was just like, oh, since I know them, you need a sponsor, I'll just take over it, you know? And so I just took over it. And it was just like a safe space. They watched Steven Universe, we ordered pizza. You know, sometimes we would have conversations about being LGBTQIA and how it feels to be in that life. You know, and this is a safe space, especially coming from Duval and you're in Lanham, where you had very heavy, like Latino and African presence there. You know, so you know it's very highly religious. It's very Christian, Catholic dominated. So it's very much like homosexuality is a sin you didn't put out or something worse to you. You know, so this was nice to have this safe space for the kids. And no, we didn't always talk about LGBTQ. I hate things. Like, I don't know how many times I had a conversation about Vampire Diaries. And I was like, hey, I read the book like a couple years ago. But you just want to talk about Vampire Diaries? I'm all here for this conversation. I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm just, if you just want to be here with like-minded people in a safe space and be accepted for who you are and how you identify, then let's go at it, baby. Okay. So let's just go ahead and do it. And it was just, I just like doing it. You know, especially growing up with like a homophobic father. It definitely corrected a lot of my views before growing up with a homophobic father and being from the 80s and 90s and what we were taught growing up, especially if you're kind of in the church as well. You know, you're taught these things, but then when you go to school, and I was in a visual performing arts program, so of course, everybody's some, you know, so it's just like I have friends that are gay, and I was like, so what's wrong with them? I don't understand the hate. Like me and him wear the same jean size. Like we can go shopping together. Why am I mad?
Right.
What am I upset about who he loves? Why am I upset?
Right.
That's my friend. He don't want me. I don't want him. We can go hang out for days. Like, why am I mad about who he wants to lay down with? He's not who I want to lay down with. So why am I worried who he's laying down with?
Right.
No.
I have another question to ask. Is because I know you said that you started your business while you was a teacher.
Yes.
So through your photography, let's move it. Through your photography, have your through your photography and your photography business, have that also been a way for you to also heal because you're creating through your business? And I also want to know is, how did you come up with the name of your business?
All right. So, yes, photography helps me heal because, like I said, I've been a creative my whole life, drawing, arts and crafts, all that. I got into photography because I started out as a model and just went to the artistic side. So that's how I got it. That's how I ended up going into photography because I like making the pictures as a model, but then I love the images. And I was also very selective about the eye of the photographer that I work with to say, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. So I was selective in the beginning. And then I just kind of like went to creative side. But as far as the name xGnG, so I originally wanted to name the photography business GNG Photography after my two little sisters who are twins, G and Gianna. But the thing is that somebody already had GNG Photography.
Oh,
So
wow.
at this point, it's 2011. You got like all these little this, little that rappers. You got X something. I'm like, sense does this make? Okay. Well, for copyright reasons, I was like, since everybody throwing X's and everything now, I just threw an X in the front. So I was like, I guess I'll be like the little rappers.
Okay. xGnG. Okay, so named after your sisters. That's what's up. Okay, so twins running your family.
Well, this is, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay. So looking back over your life, I want to get more into your business. In a minute. Looking back over your life, what would you say to your younger self? Where you at right now? You know how Lisa Ray in her movie, she had that, she was in the mirror and she be sitting there in the mirror talking to herself. And her younger self came back and was like, "Oh my God, you're doing some big thing." What would you say to your younger self if you had to look in the mirror and you seen her?
I think I would tell her that she's already powerful. She already has a strong voice and she's used it. She also deserves love, affection, and attention. Excuse me, and attention. That's positive. Along with that, it's fine if I make a mistake. I don't have to be perfect from the beginning. Just try to do better.
Yeah, that's what's up. I like that. So your business, photography.
Yeah.
You have done a lot of great things with your photography. Can you talk more about, because I know you do fashion. I know photography can be broad. It can be a range of things. My son is going to school photography as well. And he does a lot of abstract shooting and stuff like that. But you do a lot of fashion. More of in the fashion world. Can you just speak a little bit about how did you get into that type of genre of photography?
Like I said, I actually started as a model in 2006. I started out as a model. So I was working with different photographers. So I was doing fashion photo shoots, where it's not like you were sitting there getting paid and you had all this wardrobe and makeup. No, it's you get your outfit and you have the cute little outfit, you do your hair, you learn your makeup along the way, and then you come and you shoot in this location and you try to make something work with your body. So that's just how I got into fashion, because I was already in it in front of the lens. So I just transitioned right into it behind, but also that was more my focus because I'm very much art and I'm very much color and richness. And vibrancy. That's very much my personality. And those are things that I really, really love. So it's like, it was fun going through and making these beautiful photos with these different backgrounds and these different outfits. And it's like a whole entire composition, the way that I photograph, because I like to photograph outdoors. Really, so it's like you have a whole entire canvas here. It's not like you have one singular model just sitting right here in front of you with a white background and that's it. No, there's a whole experience here. There are colors here. There's a richness behind this that's bringing kind of a pop and glow to the subject, like their colors. It's fun. It's vibrancy. So that's how I got into the fashion. It's just, it's the artistic side, still being able to create on that side with it, more than I saw like certain other types of photography.
Okay. And as a person that's trying to break into the fashion world through my shoes, do you feel that breaking into that world 10 years ago was harder than it is now, or is it harder now than it was 10 years ago to break into the fashion world?
I believe it was probably harder because we didn't have the ability to connect so quickly with people from so many different areas. Because a lot of the opportunities that I've had that have brought me closer into the fashion world have actually come from either Instagram or Facebook, you know? So, and also networking, that gets you a lot. Because the woman that I did press for, the Luan that owns Ken Woman Hill and also Stribble Treats, like I used to work with her sister. So her sister used to post stuff on Facebook and be like, please support my sister, go vote for her. So I used to vote for her and like promote her when I would be in like different business groups or like the Black women chat that we met in. I would like post her up and like suggest her to other people. So then that's how she ended up hooking me up with this press job. And then that's how I ended up getting the press job before was through networking. But it all started out because I was friends with her sister on Facebook. Her sister was tagging me and stuff for her sister to support her. And so then I was doing that and then shouting her out over and over again online. I actually shot press for, New York Fashion Week, season 2022 up in New York. I did that. That's kind of like the Black and BPIOC version of New York Fashion Week. And this was like one of their first couple years. And I actually ended up being able to do that because I had advertised looking for a model to teach a class on photography. And because we had just vibed so well during the class and scheduling everything, she told me about the opportunity to do press for the fashion week that she was walking in. Wow. And then she sent me the link and then I applied to it and then I got accepted. And next thing you know, I'm up in New York, and we didn't really have that resource before. When I started in 2011, you had Craigslist, which is a lot more sketchy then. And you had like Model Mayhem, which are like only two places. And they're not really the best all the time. Like Model Mayhem was good, but you had to know about it. But it's easier now because there's so many different groups that you can lock into that can help you out further along. Yeah. Like this group we're in and in the business chat that we're in, we help each other further along. So you can find somebody else that's doing something that might be in fashion week and might need shoes. And you can be like, hey, are you walking for this week? Like we have DC Swim Week, we have DC Fashion Week, they have the Met Baltimore Gala up in Baltimore they just had. They have the Preakness stuff and stuff like that. So social media helps you find out about all these things. But what you really want to lock into is who you network with. Find people that are in your same vein because you only have so many resources as one person. Yeah. As one person, you only have so many resources. And no, baby, you can't do it all alone. Okay. That's the trauma talking. But when you reach out and you find like-minded people that support you in what you do, that person knows somebody else. Yeah. Or they know somebody else. Yeah. Because like I've had people in my inbox and they're like, hey, yeah, like I was asking my friend for a photographer and they suggested you. So I've been following you for a long time, and I'm waiting to work with you. And I'd be like, okay, I'm waiting on that money. But, but it gets through word of mouth and social media helps with that. Yeah. Just don't get too wrapped up in social media, like the likes and everything. Because the thing is that, Instagram doesn't show you everybody that comes past your stuff. Right. It doesn't. It doesn't tell a true story of who comes past everything and who looks at your stuff. Because I'm in here all the time. TikTok, them youngins can keep TikTok because I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's who you work with. It's like, because I know you now and know you have your shoes, and because I work with different models and I know like maybe a designer or something, then maybe I could be like, hey, here's this designer.
Right. Right. Right.
Like there's this bridal designer, Keo Bridal, and she's in the area and she makes wedding dresses, and she had one of her dresses was shot for a bridal of large national bridal magazine, and she had the actress Amber Riley in one of her dresses. So I'll shoot you over her profile.
Okay.
Because that might be something you could look into, or maybe working with some of the models coming out to the photo shoots. You could bring your shoes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the models need better shoes.
Yeah. I was in a last year I was in a fashion show. The models wore my shoes to model it. So yeah. Wow, that's good. Well, what is next for Takeya? What is next for you?
I think what is next is birthing these babies who are going to be taller than me. I going back into photography. I hope to build my business up. I hope to do more press, a lot more advocacy with my press. I also hope to really get my nonprofit off the ground. Okay. And working with different mental health organizations through my nonprofit called Empower xGnG. Where I really want to use photography to like help people out, like feel empowered about themselves. And also just like work with local mental health providers, especially BPRC and those towards LGBTQIA+, working with them to maybe do event planning since I was a class sponsor. And I've been VP of service. I put together service projects. I've done fundraisers as president of my orchestra. So I've done a lot of event planning and fundraising and community service. So I hope to use Empower xGnG to help mental health providers, hopefully provide like community days, especially for like youth. Like that's one group I really want to sit down and have like a whole retreat for, like a weekend retreat, where they're taught like boys and girls separately, but different age groups, where they're taught things such as about their sexual health, about their physical hygiene. Because a lot of them ain't getting this at home.
Yeah.
How to save money, what to get a credit card, what the heck is an interest rate? How am I going to pay my rent and balance my budgets? What do I do when I get sick with this? How do I travel out of the country? Things like that, And I would really just love to work with community organizations to really build up these types of events. Maybe you can help me out with that because I don't even know how to do that. But I really want to do that. And also, I hope right now, not right now. I got 3 babies to raise in a little bit. But I do hope to get my PhD in public policy, though.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Love it. So how can my viewers follow you? How can they follow you? Hire you? I know you got 2, but once you're back out there on your feet, can you give all your social media handles? And I'll make sure that I put it down below of the video.
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook. It's xGnG Photography 510. You can just type in xGnG Photography, it'll come up. You can also find me on Instagram _xGnG_photography_. Those are 2 main places you're going to find me, or you can find me via my website, www.xgnGphotography.com. And there you can shoot me an email message, or if you want to message me directly, TKREVE@xgnGphotography.com. And you can get to me.
So can you leave my viewers, you gave some good nuggets during this interview, but can you leave my viewers with some inspiring words?
All right, here are a few things. Your 20s are for being stupid. Be stupid. Don't get locked up. If you have a kid already, okay, on that story. Don't get locked up. Don't have no kids. Don't get married till at least 28. And be stupid. Explore life. I'm sorry. Don't have a kid right now in your 20s. This is the time you are a dingbat. It is okay you are a dingbat. We get it. You don't understand everything. You're 20. You're just getting out of high school and you're getting to be older. It's okay, baby. You're not meant to figure out the whole world by the time you're 25. You are not slowpoke because you're not married and pregnant by the age of 25, okay? And you don't have to have it all figured out by the age of 30. All right, you really don't. By 31, start settling down and get your stuff together. But just explore life and have fun. If you're interested in something, there are like-minded people like you. There's a community for you. You are not alone. So never feel alone. Even if you've gone through abuse, there are other people. And when I tell you therapy is one of the best things that you could do for yourself. I have been in therapy off and on since 2006. And when I tell you therapy has saved my life time and time again, it has literally saved my life. And I turned 40 in May. And therapy has helped save my life since I was 30. And medication. And I grow stronger every day. It's hard on days and I feel weak, but other days I feel incredibly strong.
Yeah.
You're meant to be here, baby. Somebody does love you.
Yeah.
And if nobody told you, have a good day.
Amen. Well, we're gonna wrap it up right then and there. I know that's right. We're gonna wrap it up right then and there. But I want to thank you. I thank you for coming on my platform. I thank you for sharing your story. I thank you for being a mentor out there to the students that you came across while you were still teaching. I'm praying that you still coming across youth and young adults and being that voice for them and just making them think, as a teacher, as a mentor, as a friend. So I thank you for all that you're doing. Photography, we all, as Black women, as women, period, that's a great space to be in. So I pray that you just keep going, and hearing that you're doing a nonprofit, that's awesome. That's really great. To give back and keep giving back. And any way this platform can help you out, I'm here. Make sure we stay connected, and keep it moving and keep it growing in this DMV area, because it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do in DMV.
Definitely.
Yes, but in saying that, I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. It was a little long, but guess what? Everything was good. There was a lot of great nuggets. If you know somebody that's in an abusive relationship or being abused, please talk to them. If you don't know what to say, just listen. Just listen. Everybody don't have the answer, but everybody have a air that you can help people by just listening and not giving your advice, but just being there to listen. So I just want to say thank you. Enjoy your evening, and I will see you next week. Enjoy.